Sometimes you have a set of sales values, as we have here in our scenario sales file, where we have a sheet with data, which is our fruit sales across the whole year, and then a sheet with share values, which is the share values for a number of companies, again across the whole year, with a little spark line at the end. Now, if these values are made up, experimentations, guesswork, we could refer to them as scenario values. Now, it might be that we want to experiment with different numbers. So we would come in and go, well, we sold 59 kiwis, but what would happen if in August there was a glut of kiwis and we were able to reduce the price and we could sell 25? What effect would that have on both August sales total and the kiwi sales total and the grand total? Well, we can try it, we type the number in and it changes. However, what we don't have without doing a straightforward undo is a record of what the value was previously. Now, we could do this by copying the sheet. So we take the data sheet and replicate it a number of times to try out different scenarios. Wet summers, dry summers, bad harvest, good harvest, those kind of different scenario types. And we could create separate sheets. However, it can be made a lot easier in Excel by actually storing the changing numbers as different sets of scenario values. This is achieved using the Scenario Manager. The Scenario Manager is located on the Data ribbon under What If Analysis. Because effectively that's what you're doing. You're trying out different what ifs. What if it rains? What if it's sunny? So to do some scenarios with our fruit data, the first thing we would need to do is take the values we've got. So let's highlight all of the cells with the raw values in, not the totals. They're just formulas, so they will change as the raw values change. And we'd then like to take these values and effectively copy and paste them or save them as one set of scenario numbers. So with the numbers highlighted, we can then go up to the What If Analysis Scenario Manager. That opens up the Scenario Manager and there are currently no scenarios. I can click Add. Because I've got the cells highlighted, they now become the changing cells, so B2 through to F13. I need to give this set of cell values a name, so I'm going to call it Normal. And then there's an optional comment that I can add in. You can see it's defaulted to created by training, so the logged in person, and today's date. I could edit that and say normal values given a normal weather condition. Okay. And then you can see we hit our first restriction in that a scenario can have no more than 32 changing cells. Otherwise, the memory usage becomes too high. So we've actually got 12 times 5, so that's 60. So the way around this is to say, okay, let's change our changing cells and treat each fruit separately. So we highlight the banana cells, go back and call this normal bananas. Normal banana values given a normal weather condition. Okay, so we can see the changing cell values, which are the values down the banana column. That's okay. And we see that scenario gets saved as normal bananas. We can then add another. I'm going to call this apple normal, and its set of changing cells are the apple cells. And our comment, apple normal. Okay. Again, it displays the values that we've currently got in the cell. That's fine. Okay. And then we'll add pear normal and highlight the pear cells. Comment is pear normal. Okay. Shows us our changing values. Okay. So those are our three different scenarios that we have. Effectively at the minute, all they are is a set of stored numbers. Now we actually need to do the same for kiwi and strawberry to store those current numbers, but I'm sure you could manage that yourself, because what we need to do is now add in some different values for each of our three fruits, and so different values for bananas, pear and apples. So we take the normal bananas and we click Add, and you can see that that highlights the same cells, but this is now going to be awful bananas. Same change in cells, and the comment is awful weather. So we have some atrocious weather for bananas, totally ruins the crop. Okay, this time it shows us our changing cells, and they're still the same value at the moment. But what we now need to do is enter the awful banana numbers. So the numbers are going to be right down because the weather was that bad. So we tab through, it's the quickest way through each of these values. And you can see the numbers really are bad. And then when we get to the end, we click OK, and that stores those numbers as awful bananas. We then do the same for apple. So we select apple normal, add. That chooses the apple range of cells, and we'll call these awful apples. OK. And again, those are the current values, so they're the normal values. We need to tab through and enter some really quite awful values for our apples. These really are awful numbers. And then we get to the end and OK. So we'd do the same again for the pears. We have some awful pears. Now that's covering the awful weather conditions, the normal weather conditions, but we need some really good conditions. So let's go back to our normal bananas and we add. By selecting the normal bananas, we're selecting the changing cells for bananas, and these are going to be good bananas. Good banana. OK. And then we need to change those values for good values, which are just going to be massively higher, really, because the weather was that good. Very, very sunny. The bananas were able to grow and ripen and really produce some solid fruit so that we could make some proper money out of them. And we get to the end and OK. You would do the same for your apples. So select one of the apple current scenarios and add in the good apple values, and the same for the pears. So that way you would end up with 3 sets of values for each range. So 3 sets of values for bananas, 3 sets of values for apple, 3 sets of values for pear, the same again for kiwi, the same again for strawberry. So effectively giving you 15 sets of values, all stored within the same sheet. So rather than creating extra sheets to have a look at these new values, we store them within the same sheet within the Scenario Manager. The next step is, how do we make use of them?